Even with cameras on street corners and phones in our pockets, some people vanish without a trace. In a world built to record everything, these cases leave us with more questions than answers. Across quiet country roads, lonely hiking trails, and crowded city streets, lives that were ordinary, one moment become unanswered mysteries the next. Sometimes all that remains is a single phone call, a grainy image, or a few digital breadcrumbs that refuse to add up. Over the next several minutes, we will count down 10 of the most baffling disappearances from the last 15 years, from 2010 to 2025. Each story focuses on who the person was, the last known moments, the hard facts investigators hold on to, and the theories that make the most sense based on the evidence. This is not just about puzzles. These are real people with families who still wait for answers, and lives interrupted in ways that technology was supposed to prevent. Which vanishing will linger with you the longest? Which detail will keep you awake tonight? Now let us begin with number 10. Amber Tuccaro was just 20 years old when she left for a weekend in Edmonton. She wanted a change of scene. She was outgoing and trusting, the kind of person who would smile and start a conversation with a stranger. On August 18th, 2010, Amber left her hotel near Nisku, Alberta. She needed a ride into the city and decided to hitchhike along a quiet rural road. What happened next is captured only by a haunting phone call. 17 minutes after getting into a stranger's car, Amber dialed her brother. On the recording, a man's voice, low and calm, gives directions. He says, "You are going east on the gravel road." Amber's tone shifts from casual to uneasy as the conversation continues. Those words are the last anyone heard from her. No surveillance cameras caught the car. Cell tower data placed her phone near a wide stretch of highway, but could not pinpoint an exact location. For 2 years, her family held vigils, hoping for answers. In September 2012, partial remains were found in a field outside Leduc. The reward stands at $5,000, but the man on the recording remains unidentified. For Amber's loved ones, the mystery is a wound that never heals, and a reminder that even in the age of smartphones, some disappearances leave nothing but questions. Relisha Rudd was 8 years old, living with her family at the DC General Homeless Shelter in 2014. She loved to draw, and her teachers described her as shy but quick to smile. Despite the crowded shelter, Relisha stood out for her gentle spirit and the way she clung to her mother's side. On February 26th, security cameras captured Relisha walking down a hotel hallway with Khalil Tatum, a janitor from the shelter who had befriended her family. Over the next few days, more footage surfaced. Relisha and Tatum moved through lobbies, entered elevators, and slipped into rooms. Each clip seemed to offer a clue, but the trail always ended before any answers appeared. The final sighting came on March 1st, 2014, when Relisha and Tatum entered a Days Inn on New York Avenue. After that, nothing. No more images, no phone calls, no confirmed sightings. It was as if the city itself had swallowed her whole. Police did not open a missing persons case until March 19th, nearly 3 weeks after Relisha vanished. By then, Khalil Tatum was on the run. He was last seen buying a shovel and trash bags, the day after Relisha disappeared. On March 31st, his body was found in a park shed, dead by suicide, taking the truth with him. For Relisha's family, the unanswered questions are a daily ache. In a city filled with cameras and crowds, her image still lingers on a handful of grainy tapes, a child lost in plain sight. Brandon Lawson spent August 8th, 2013, working a late shift in San Angelo, Texas, before driving home to his partner and 4 children. He was 26, a devoted father, known for a quick laugh and a stubborn streak. That night, after a tense argument, Brandon left the house just before midnight, heading north on Highway 277 toward Abilene. His truck ran out of gas at 12:57 a.m., leaving him stranded on the shoulder near Bronte. What happened next has haunted investigators for years. On the 911 call, his voice was raw with fear. He said, "Yes, I am in the middle of a field. Pulled some guys over. Right here going toward Abilene on both sides. My truck ran out of gas. I need the cops." The dispatcher struggled to make sense of the words, distorted by patchy cell service and panic. Brandon's brother Kyle arrived soon after and found only the empty truck. A sheriff's deputy also responded, but there was no sign of Brandon, only the stillness of the Texas night. Search teams scoured the area for days. Cell tower records placed Brandon's phone within a sprawling rural radius. A single tower ping that left his true location a mystery. For 9 years, his family clung to hope, replaying the 911 call and turning over the cryptic phrases in their minds. Was he chased, injured, hallucinating, or hiding? Those questions became part of the long, painful wait. In February 2022, human remains were found less than a mile from where the truck was abandoned. DNA confirmed they belonged to Brandon. The 911 recording remains a chilling artifact, a real-time plea from someone who was, in a way, lost in plain sight, trapped between technology's promise and rural blind spots. The family still lives with the unanswered question, and investigators are left piecing together a night that never fully added up. Chris Kremers and Lysanne Froon were 2 Dutch students in their early 20s who traveled to Panama in the spring of 2014 for a volunteer project and a taste of adventure. They were close friends, Chris known for her sharp wit and curiosity, Lysanne for her steady optimism and love of photography. On April 1st, 2014, they set out to hike the El Pianista Trail near Boquete, a popular route winding into the cloud forest. They left a note for their host family, planning to return by nightfall. When the women missed a scheduled meeting the next morning, concern grew quickly. Days passed before search teams combed the dense jungle. In June 2014, a local woman found a blue backpack on the bank of the Culebra River, far from the trailhead. Inside were their phones, a camera, cash, and passports, everything dry and neatly packed as if placed with care. For investigators and families, that discovery raised more questions than answers. The digital evidence is both abundant and confounding. Phone logs showed dozens of desperate attempts to call emergency numbers in Panama between April 1st and April 11th, 2014. More than 70 calls in total, none successful. The pattern suggested the women survived for days, rationing battery life and trying at midday when signals were strongest. Yet the phones never connected. The last activity came on April 11th, 2014, 10 days after they disappeared. Lisanne's camera held another puzzle. 90 photographs taken in the dead of night, most between April 8th and April 10th, 2014. Nearly all are black frames, as if the flash was used to light the darkness or to signal for help. A handful show rocks, branches, and what looks like plastic bags or clothing. No faces, and no clear sign of where or why. Forensic analysis found no evidence of tampering. One photograph was missing from the sequence, and that absence only fueled speculation online. In June 2014, remains were discovered. Chris's foot in a boot, Lisanne's pelvis, and scattered bones, all weathered by sun and river. Forensic tests pointed toward natural causes, possibly an accident on the trail. But the organized backpack, the missing photograph, and the nighttime images keep families searching for a fuller truth. The digital trail they left behind is long and detailed, but instead of leading to answers, it only deepens the mystery. Friends and family live with questions every day. How did two young women on a well-known trail disappear into the forest and river for so long? Their story is a haunting reminder that even with cameras and phones everywhere, we can still be left with silence. Daniel Robinson grew up in South Carolina, the youngest of three siblings, known for his easy smile and stubborn determination. After college, he moved to Arizona to work as a geologist, drawn to the open desert and the promise of discovery. On June 23, 2021, Daniel drove his blue Jeep Renegade out to a remote job site near Buckeye, west of Phoenix. It was an ordinary workday, but coworkers noticed something was off. Daniel seemed distracted, asking odd questions, then suddenly drove away from the site, heading deeper into the desert instead of toward home. That was the last time anyone saw him. Hours later, his phone stopped responding. Police tried to ping it, but there was no signal, no tower connection, just silence. The next day, search teams combed the area by foot and by air. Drones scanned miles of scrub and sand. Helicopters traced the roads, but nothing turned up. Weeks passed. Daniel's family, led by his father David, organized volunteer searches, refusing to let the case fade. They covered nearly 70 square miles, bringing in cadaver dogs, off-road vehicles, and private investigators. Still, no sign of Daniel. On July 19th, nearly a month after he vanished, a rancher spotted Daniel's Jeep at the bottom of a ravine, less than 4 miles from where he was last seen. The car was overturned and badly damaged. Inside were Daniel's clothes, his wallet, his phone, and a single boot. The black box, an onboard computer that logs crash data, showed the Jeep had driven an extra 11 miles after Daniel left the job site, but the exact route and timing remain a black box mystery. The phone's last activity was logged at 10:05 a.m. on the day he disappeared, with no further calls, pings, or texts. No evidence of foul play was found in or around the vehicle. Despite weeks of drone flights and ground searches, not a single trace of Daniel turned up in the desert. Animal bones found nearby were tested and ruled out. The official investigation points to the possibility that Daniel wandered off, disoriented after the crash. But his family is not convinced. They question why he would leave everything behind, why the car's data offers no answers, why the phone went dark so quickly in a world where every move usually leaves a digital footprint. 4 years on, the case remains open, with no new leads and no closure for Daniel's loved ones. In an era shaped by constant surveillance and connected devices, his disappearance is a haunting reminder that sometimes even the best technology cannot bring someone home. Across all 10 vanishings, one fact stands out. Even in a world wired with technology, people can disappear without a trace. The limits of surveillance and data leave families trapped in uncertainty. These mysteries prove that answers and closure are never guaranteed. Which case haunts you most?